Hello, my name is Lacking a Name, and today I'm going to be drawing a Kitsui with a car of some kind. I don't know what kind of car it is. Not exactly the biggest car buff in the world. For me, if it has four wheels and go, then it's a car, and that's kind of the extent of it. But along with that, I thought I'd be telling some car stories today. So, hope you stick around and enjoy these. If you want to know where Kitsui is from, she's from my webcomic Gnosis. You can click the link in the description and it'll take you right there, and you can read about her adventures along with Zenji and Levita. So, that's been going really great, and I hope you'll stop by and check out. So, on to cars. Kind of my very first car story actually happens long before I was born. My mom worked real hard, I think it was for a summer or something, so she could buy her first car. And what she got was a pink 57 Chevy, which she absolutely loved this car. And had it, I can't remember if she had it in high school, but I know she had it before she went up to college. Because one of the things that, in order for her to go up to college, was that she had to show her dad is that she knew how to change the tires and oil in her car. So she knew how to take care of it. And so she demonstrated that and was allowed to go off to college. So there's something to keep in mind. Make sure your kids know how to change tires on cars. That will actually come back a bit later, I suppose, in my life. But so my mom had a 57 pink Chevy. Absolutely adored it. And I remember this car. She had it till I was after I was born. I remember riding in the back of it on the big bench seats that they had. I can't remember if it was called vinyl or whatnot, but the material in it, like I remember the little holes it had. I seem to remember it having little holes in it, just so it could breathe and such, and it had just a bench seat back there. And yeah, I remember just driving, just when she would like go to the store or whatever and take me in it and ride in the back of it. So I remember this car. And she had it when I was born, when my brother was born, when my second brother was born, and only then got rid of it when she was going to have my sister. And because that's 4 kids, and the seat, and that bench seat only holds 3 people. So she needed to get a van. And so her and my dad sold their cars so that they could buy a van, and she was so sad that she went and cried because she had to give up her car. Thankfully, the guy she sold it to really appreciated classic cars and such, and so he paid extra for it, and later brought it back to kind of show her how well it had been taken care of. He went and found the original yellow it was painted in, so he repainted it and had tuned it up and made some adjustments to it and such, so that it rode really well. So at least I went to a good home with someone that would appreciate that. So that's a nice little ending to that story. So we fast forward a little bit in time to when I'm learning to drive. I was not that eager to learn to drive. I don't know why, but it just wasn't something that interested me. In fact, I was kind of scared to learn how to drive, and so my parents would take me, and we would go to the church parking lot to practice stops and goes, and then going forward, turning, and all that stuff, and then eventually have to hit the road. And I was terrified of the big semi trucks that would come down on this little two-laned road that was near our neighborhood that we'd drive by, because they come along and just this big wind would push your car. I say semi trucks, maybe they weren't semi trucks, maybe they're just big trucks, and the trauma has enlarged the truck size for me over time. So I learned a lot to drive, just kind of generally like that. But an interesting story happened one time when we were going on family vacation. My parents pulled over and were going to let me take over so I could practice driving on the interstate some. Not exactly something to be thrilled at, because I wanted to be sat in the back with my siblings. We had a portable DVD player and we were watching Atlantis. And So as soon as they swap out, and get the seat, the radio operator takes a drag on her cigarette and goes, "We're all going to die." So yeah, that was great. It's just perfectly timed. We didn't, obviously, die because a lot has gone on since then. So yeah, we lived through me driving on the interstate. But yeah, that was just a funny little coincidence thing to come up there. So after I gotten familiar with driving, my next car story happened again just years later. I had a good friend who lived on a ranch, who enjoyed fixing cars. He was just very mechanically inclined that way. And the interesting thing is that despite my dad and both my brothers being mechanical engineers, I am not mechanically inclined. I mean, I'm not a machine idiot, but it's just not anything that I really gravitated towards. Part of the reason why I don't know what kind of car this is I'm drawing, and why I also struggle to draw machinery and guns and different stuff like that, is I just don't have the mechanical inclination to figure out how it works. Like, where should the components inside it be to kind of give it its size? I just don't understand that. So that's just something that I really struggle with in an interesting way. But no, for whatever reason, my good friend, he was mechanically inclined, and he loves Volkswagen Beetles. And so he actually has two of them. He got a road Volkswagen Beetle, old, that he fixed up and drove around, but his favorite was a Baja Volkswagen Beetle. And we could hear that thing. We knew whenever he was coming over because we could hear it coming down the street because it was just loud when it would come. And so we would hear him from a block away. It's like, oh, he's on his way. But this car was a treat in a lot of regards, because it was janky. Like, you could look at the bottom of the footwell and see the road as you drove along from the holes in it. My brothers found him once broken down in the middle of the road because his car cut out on him. So he's out there with a can of starter fluid trying to get the ignition to go so he can move the car. So that was just great. It's like, why don't you get a real car? That's not the point. Isn't the real car. The point is to make this car work, I think, as he would say, something like that. But I remember one summer he had a project that did not involve a Volkswagen Beetle. It involved a old Firebird he had on his property. It was sunken halfway into the ground, and he decided that he was going to dig it out of the ground and fix it up and get it running. And I'll be darned, he did. He dug it out of the ground and spent probably a month or so fixing it up, taking all the parts out of it, cleaning them, changing the oil filter, and got it going. And so we were driving it around his field one day after he had it'd probably only been running for a few days at this point. Just drive up to one end, turn around, drive back, and we're just kind of doing that a bit. Nothing too crazy. I can't remember if he had tried doing a drifting or not in it, but I think he must have, because we do this one turn and we hear and we feel this thump in the car, and we kind of stop like, what's that? And we're looking around, and he's looking over towards me, and I see a tire roll past him. All right, I'm just watching God kind of tap him, and I don't say anything, just tap him, point at it, and he looks over and just starts just watching this tire just roll down the field. So we were at the far end of the field, so we got out and walked back. I can't remember how he got it back to the house where he was working on it. I don't know if it was pushed. Maybe it was pushed, or maybe they dragged it with a truck or something. But yeah, so that was great. Just the comedic timing of watching this wheel roll around. I remember another time. This was with the Baja Bug. He was over at our house and he was working on it. And he forgot to, I think, replace a cap or something on the fluid of it. So I'm standing back by the engine. He turns it on, and fluid starts spraying out. I go, is this supposed to be doing that? He looks over. He's like, oh, shoot! Runs and turns it off and goes, freaking idiot. Is it supposed to be doing that? No, it's just spraying liquids. Yes, it's supposed to do that. You moron. I can't remember entirely what he said, but at another point, I can't remember what the suggestion was, but I suggested that maybe he should check this component on the car. And he didn't quite hear me. He goes, "What did he say?" And I just go, he just starts punching me. He goes, "You're such an a-hole." To which he then proceeds to check the component that I had talked about. So he understood what I said. He understood. But yeah, so a lot of fun, I guess, kind of little car stories there. Not a whole lot. Well, I say not a whole lot, but I guess I actually worked parking for a few years when I was in college, and so I always said that working the parking job, there's a couple of components to it, and that is one: anyone who sees you is not having the best day when they have to interact with you. So that's just something to understand: is that customer service likely going to be hostile, or they're in trouble and they need your help. So either way, they're not having a good day. And also, a boring day when nothing happens means that there is no problems going on. So it's good to have boring days at work, in my mind. But so, I'm out doing sighting. I work the evening shift. And one of the students who had late night classes, he comes kind of pulling in on his car and got a flat and goes, "Hey, I got a flat and I don't know how to change a tire. Can you help me?" So I'm sure. And we go over, and by the school's rules, I'm not allowed to touch the car to help change the tire, because then that could be a violation of insurance and something or other. Just the school doesn't want to deal with that, so I can't touch the car. So I basically instruct him and teach him how to change the tire on his car. So I hope that he remembers that lesson, because it's like, well, you went to college and you learned something today. You learned how to change a tire, which is always something that you should know. So if you don't know how to change a tire, you should probably look up a YouTube video for it, because the visuals will be easier, but they'll likely tell you to use the star formation, where you basically draw a star as you unscrew the lug nuts that are holding the tire to the disc rotating wheel. I'm not entirely sure what it's called. And then when you tighten it back on, you do the star formation again to tighten it on. This will help it so it goes nice and even onto the spinny part disc that makes the wheel go around. So yeah, look up if you don't know how to change a tire, learn how to. It's an important thing to know. I suppose, I'm thinking of the parking, there's a couple of other little interesting stories related to cars with that. Because one of the things that would occur a lot at the end of the semester is students that lived on campus would drive there with their cars, and then the cars would sit all semester long. Well, the batteries would be dead, and so it's very common at the end of the semester for us to have to go out with the jump packs to jump cars to get them running again, because they had died. And it's like, all right, this is running, let it run for 10-15 minutes, you can drive it wherever, just don't turn it off, so the alternator will recharge the battery on it. So that's just kind of a fun little interesting thing that happened a lot that we would deal with. And in line of that, one of the interesting jumps I had to do once was someone who lived on campus, and her car broke down, and it was a Prius. One of her kids left the lights on, and so the battery had died. So I go out there to try and jump it, but I can't find enough metal to ground it on. So I call one of the other guys to come bring another jump pack, because I thought the one I had was bad. So he comes out with another jump pack, and we're looking around, and it was just hard, because usually we just take it and attach it to like a bit of the frame that the body of the car is on, and store it up. But the Prius, the metal they had in there was, I think, aluminum or something, to be light, and it didn't conduct enough electricity to ground it. So we had to end up digging like way deep down into the engine to find like the heavier part of the frame of the car that was made of iron or steel to attach it to, so we could get this thing to jump. But it's just an interesting little problem of like, I never would have considered that an issue. So yeah, if you have, make sure if you, I guess, have a electric car, or maybe just any nice lightweight car, that you know where the metal is on it that you can jump in the event that you need to jump start your car. So that was interesting, and this experience ended up paying off later. My brother, his car died. His alternator went bad, so he actually went out to get a replacement for it when it died, and so I had to go out there and help charge up his car to get it so that I would start up again and run. And so this was in the summer of the Southwest, so it was hot. So I go out there, we hook it up, and I'm charging it up, and he runs and jumps in my car so we can sit in the AC, and he had macadamia, like just a box of macadamia nuts. They would just sat there and ate while his car charged for like 20 minutes. So yeah, not that, like I said, any real significant huge car stories, just fun, interesting little moments around with that. So yeah, if you have any interesting car stories, go ahead and share them in the comments section. I know it's not exactly the most common thing, I guess, the overlap between artists and comic readers to be big into cars, but yeah, it's something to learn. I say you can always learn something new and should be learning. Anyhow, so once again, I'd like you to invite you to come read Gnosis. Updates every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. It's a fantasy action comic, so not a whole lot of cars, but we do have a big Roro in there that transports everyone around. So you could come and learn what a Roro looks like. But yeah, once again, the link to Gnosis, the webcomic, is just in the comic description. You can also check out my Patreon, where I have this drawing up as if you subscribe for $5, you can get this drawing as a downloadable reward, and for $10 you'll get this drawing and then an extra monthly drawing that is exclusive to the $10 tier. That's a really big help for me, for people who sign up with that. One of the people who signed up with it, they said that it basically costs a bag of chips a month to help support this. So yeah, for a bag of chips, you can feed me and keep me going for a month. So there's that fun descriptor. Anyhow, thank you, and I hope you had some fun listening to these stories and little moments, and I hope you have a good rest of your day. Thanks. Bye.